Okay, so the Public Works Commission is conducting this meeting on June 10th, 2026 at 4 p.m. on the Zoom platform and in person. This meeting is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on the town's website. I, Andrea Solomon, hereby call this meeting to order. We'll start with a review and approval of the minutes from last time. So I just had one. I had a correction that I sent over, substitutions enough to talk about, I guess, which is just to make sure that the comment about the fees associated with the meter installation were coming from a member of the public and not from the commission. So that was changed. Did anybody else have anything?
Like last time, I had some little minor needs,
Correct.
so I'm happy to give those.
Yeah, and thank you.
Not they're just, wordsmithing.
So as Andrea said, if it's substantive, you want the rest of the commission to hear. As far as the edits and tweaking, it just helps you mark it up. We'll make those corrections. So thank you.
I want to see if this is. Oh my God! Look at this.
Oh, that's
There's
big.
There's a period missing. Oh,
It's appreciated and helpful. So thank you. Yes. Really good.
Do I have a anyone want to move to accept the minutes?
I do so.
I second.
All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes?
I
Here, so we can just do an I vote, nay votes. We'll review the calendar.
Let's see. So this is my opportunity, Alice, to sort of give a preview of what's coming, features coming this way. First and foremost, it's important that over the summer, unless necessary, there's a recess for July and August. If something is necessary where we need the commission to get together, we sort of work with you to sort of schedule it. We always meet on the second Wednesday of the month. So we kind of have those as our placeholders. When we get into the fall, we start, earnestly with stormwater enterprise and program update. I can tell you the fall is very busy when we talk about, program development and budgets and that sort of thing. But as far as kind of routine schedule, it's important to know we actually have 4 different enterprise centers: water, sewer, stormwater, solid waste, recycling. So we try to break them up. So we're fitting them into an annual cycle. So it's fairly regular.
Mm-hmm.
So, but other than that, I think, unless there's any comments, that's just a little preview. And if need be, we'd be circling back with you to let you know we need to convene something in the summer if necessary. Otherwise, the next date is scheduled for September 9th.
Okay, we'll go on to public comments. If there are any public comments on anything that's not on the agenda, and it doesn't look like there's
In here, I don't see any hands raised. So,
okay. So I'll go on to commissioner comments since I have to fill some time. 6 minutes until the rate hearing starts.
can also fill in a few minutes.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, it's just observation. It looks like some of the trees planted for the 250 at Emerson Field died or are in the process of dying. So I think what I privately learned is when you do a new tree, given that we have a lot of drought going on, it's good to water them for 3 years instead of just doing a 1 year back next to do it 3 years. Because that looks like a big loss rate in the Emerson Field.
The 250th tree plantings from the drought.
Yeah,
just
Expected all the trees that have been planted last year. We do have about 10% that not made it through the season. We've identified them for replacement. We will be replacing those trees. Some of them that were installed by our contractor under warranty. So they'll be replacing those for free.
Okay.
And continue to water for 2 years.
Okay, great.
Water.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Well, this is Alan's last meeting with us at our commission meeting. And we were ordered not to have cake or balloons, so that's why there are none. We
I
also,
veto.
so we're gonna keep it down to business. But I do want to thank you, Alan. I just want to thank you. You've brought along the commissioners very nicely. You keep us informed. You keep us in the loop on things, and that's very helpful to this commission.
Thank
We
you.
will be later on welcoming Aaron McClasko as our interim director. We can talk more about his amazing experience. He's sitting up here. And also just community announcements. Everyone here knows, everyone online probably knows, but the MCI final presentation of their charrette week is tomorrow. All the consultants will be there at starting at 6 o'clock at the CCHS cafeteria. They're going to have their what they've learned this week from the community and from all the people, all the stakeholders that gave them feedback. Also on June 24th at 6 p.m. at the CMS auditorium is when MassDOT will present alternatives to the route to Rotary. This will be a very informative meeting for the public to attend. They will present their alternatives and be looking for feedback from the public on that. So
When is that?
that's on June 24th
Okay. So
at the CMS auditorium beginning at 6 p.m. It's a Wednesday. It'll probably be crowded, I'm thinking, so get there early. Right, how much time? It's 4:07. We have 3 more minutes. Let's welcome Alice on board of the commission. Yes, thank you so much for making it here. It's great. I know it was dicey. So Alice, you've been on the select board, right? And other commissions and boards. Do you want to tell us about that?
Let's see, zoning board,
Okay. Yeah.
liaison to almost all other boards for a period of time where we first met.
Yeah. You were incredible.
Select board, town meeting study committee.
So you have a lot of
Select
background.
board.
Yeah, you know how to.
Municipal light plans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you and so
Great.
much for coming aboard. We this commission too, as you mentioned on the calendar review, we take a bit of a break in the summer usually, unless there's something that we do need to vote on, or if there is maybe something of interest in the public that would help to have a public meeting that we can do. We can always come back for that. It takes a little bit of coordination, but we can get to that. I also see Paul Rodriguez is on board. He's our liaison from the FinCom. I think he's newly assigned to us. So thanks, Paul, for being here. And all right, so when we do the rate hearing, we have to start the rate hearing. We can discuss, then we'll close the rate hearing, and then we take a vote on rates.
So I'm just as a technicality, I believe, and there's been I have a term called administrivia,
Okay.
which is, Alice, I'm not sure you've been sworn in.
Oh,
So, and that is important in order to take a vote. So as far as active, sort of voting, I would say, you still have a quorum, but until you're sworn in.
tomorrow,
Yeah, okay. So
right there.
with that said,
Thank you.
very good. So I'm sorry, well, I was saying that you've introduced Aaron McClasko,
Yeah,
Highway Ground
you're
Superintendent. Today, very soon, interim Public Works Director. I'm going to bring up share my screen and bring up these slides this is the solid waste and recycling rate hearing. Here we go. Darren, it's all yours.
I think we have
We
to
have to
officially
open.
open the.
Oh,
Yeah, we
So
did.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I just need a motion to open the hearing for the solid waste and recycling rates.
I, Christine Reynolds, hereby move to open the public hearing for the FY27 solid waste and recycling rates.
Second. All in favor of opening the hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. So are you gonna take it away?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Aaron McClasko, Highway and Ground Superintendent, Concord Public Works. This is the solid waste and recycling rate hearing for FY27. We're providing an overview of the program and then go into our proposed rate schedule for July 1st, and then can answer any questions the commission, the public might have regarding the proposed rates and program. The goal of Concord Public Works is to provide town subscribers to the solid waste recycling program that's efficient, environmentally sustainable, and cost effective. Overview of the program as it currently stands. We provide a weekly collection service. It includes town-issued leased carts from Waste Management. There's a single stream recycling service that's provided. Subscribers are also eligible for a scheduled bulk pickup through Waste Management. It's a cost-competitive program when compared to other private haulers that could service properties in town. Monthly billing, which is a new change since the last hearing. It's a pay-as-you-throw program, which means the more solid waste you dispose of, the higher the cost of the program. The less solid waste, the less the program is going to cost you. It's also environmentally sustainable. And currently we have over 3,800 subscribers enrolled in the program.
Can I ask a question, Aaron? So I saw on the chart that there's all these different levels depending on how many trash bins we get. So when a person signs up, do they say I need 4 bins or 5 bins, or does it change by week? How does that work?
It can work a couple different ways. Like you said, when people sign up, they can request multiple bins from the get-go, or they can request 1 bin, and they can add feature bins later on in their service.
Oh, they can call up and so it's variable.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Okay.
So if somebody signs up and they want 1 trash and 1 recycling, and they realize after a few months that they really need additional trash or recycling, they can pay for the additional deployment fee and get it in additional barrels.
So who's tracking all that for billing?
We track that in Highway and Grounds.
Oh, okay.
And we have a program that we use, NISC, and that's the same software that the Water and Sewer Division uses, as well as CMLP for municipal billing. So everything is tracked internally.
Do you get much variability? Do people change?
We do. We usually get newer customers that get added carts.
Yeah.
We rarely see reduction in carts.
Yeah.
I have some numbers, and I can go through them a little later in the presentation that break down by service type how many customers we have.
Yeah.
About 9% of our customers receive more than 1 cart on the trash or recycling side.
It's pretty complicated from a billing perspective and a management perspective to allow that level of variability. I'm curious why we do that, but okay, I understand. Thank you.
We've learned over the years that the customers and residents of Concord want a specific service and as customizable as possible.
Very clearly.
Yes.
It's expensive though to do that.
It is.
Expensive to manage that.
It is.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And the rest of the people who are not subscribers have private haulers to
That's correct.
recycle?
Correct.
Any idea why?
They could have what we've heard in the past is like more of a customized service, right? The service that we offer to the town through our current contractor, Waste Management, they get toters they have to be brought to the end of their driveway on the street, curbside within the right of way, and those are picked up. Some people want to not have to take the trash out. They want it picked up from their garage. They might have a longer driveway. They could require a dumpster.
I think
Any
it's
of the
also
above.
flexibility. So I use a private hauler for that reason. So you have more flexibility in what you can throw away.
There's currently 68% subscriber rate. That's based off of the 5,500 about eligible properties in town. So these are FY26 achievements. So the last year, that's our current participation rate. Annual recycling rate has increased to 40% for the last year. We've implemented a monthly billing subscription. So previous to November of 2025, it was a 6-month subscription. So residents would have to call up, pay. For a 6-month subscription, we would then mail them a sticker, and they would have that. In November, we implemented the monthly billing. If you're a current subscriber, you would see that utility bill added the solid waste recycling bill added to your monthly utility bills sent out by the town. And we've completed the Big Belly receptacle installation in public spaces. So we went before the Historic Districts Commission and got approval to install those downtown, as well as we have installed them at a number of the parks and open spaces in town and in West Concord. So there used to be a kind of a metal and plastic, somewhat decorative trash barrel in a wire basket recycling container that was deployed in town. Those are since replaced with the Big Belly units. Those are electronic compactors, solar powered, and permanently installed and mounted to those locations. And that service is through Waste Management as part of this program.
The recycling rate, is that measured by weight or by
Tonnage.
volume?
By tonnage.
Tonnage.
By weight.
Okay. And again, it's not directly related to the rate hearing, but any indication from Waste Management and what their future plans are on changes to the program or adding composting or stuff like that?
So we are currently entering the third year,
Yeah.
a 3-year contract. So those are all conversations we will have with Waste Management over the next calendar year as we start to negotiate a new contract.
Mhm.
We'll be soliciting pricing and I'm sure working closely with Waste Management and possibly other vendors to look at the program as a whole and see what kind of services they can provide. I know that most recent conversations we did have with them, that wasn't a service that they currently offer through Waste Management.
Yeah, somehow they have
area.
to start preparing for whatever is
And
coming.
they've talked about and indicated that they are in some areas looking at that. Currently not in our areas providing an active service now.
Yeah.
Could be in the future though.
Are there other providers besides Waste Management that we would look at in a contract?
There are, yes, and we've looked at the last time we negotiated a contract, or prior to entering the negotiations for this contract, we did solicit bids from other vendors as well, and we did receive bids. Waste Management provided us with the most advantageous and responsive bid for what we were looking for the Concord specific services that we required at the time.
The other competitor was Harvey, I think,
Yes,
and they've gone on,
Harvey.
I mean, they're no longer, I think, are they?
They're
Yeah,
still, yeah, they're still in
They're
service.
still around.
That was
There's
one
the
that
other
was-
firm, other company that
Yeah.
went out of business.
Oh.
Yeah, now I lost my thought. Okay, and then on the 3-year contract, there were things in like the electric truck or having just one truck driving for both the solid waste and the recycling. Are we getting any updates on when they do these next steps of implementing?
So the electric truck is available for us to implement should we want to execute that portion of the contract.
Okay,
The cost for the next fiscal year for the electric truck is $107,000. That is built into our budget for FY 27.
so that's built into this fee structure.
Correct.
Okay,
The combination truck for trash and recycling, that's one of the reasons that Waste Management gave us that they could provide a lower cost contract
Yeah.
is, they were able to reduce the number of trucks that they have in town. We haven't seen, some of the newer trucks, they had ordered them, but we don't dictate their day-to-day service. Just because they don't have their truck doesn't mean they charge us a different rate. We still negotiate.
so we
the
still
better
got
rate.
the lower negotiated rate,
Yes,
so it's their problem.
correct, is their problem. They've reduced the number of trucks in town to 2.
Yeah.
One for recycling and one for trash now.
That's,
Our rate is still the same.
So what's the electric, what was that about?
but then there is the one of the tours is done by electric.
Versus a diesel or gas?
Yes, yeah.
And we asked for that?
I think it was one and all.
We asked for that. And that was an interest of our solicitation, was to
Okay.
incorporate an electric truck into the municipal collection.
Okay,
So currently, the trucks are in town to collect from municipal properties, the curbside program. We also have municipal properties that Waste Management collects from. Those are the downtown barrels, like the Big Bellies, and the municipal
Yeah.
properties like this building and the schools.
Yeah.
We worked through the negotiations, the electric truck route was to service the municipal buildings, the school buildings.
okay.
And so, the fee for that, should we want to execute, was $107,000 for this upcoming year
To buy the machine or
To buy
that's
it,
what it
yeah.
costs for the service?
for just the service. They have one electric truck in New England, in our region, if you will. It was out of, I think it was Londonderry, New Hampshire location. They did not, when we entered the contract originally, have a way to, get that truck to Concord,
Mhm.
have it run a route, fully charge and get
Then go
back to
back.
where it needs to go.
Makes
So
sense.
they've since instructed the infrastructure they need to provide us with the service.
Okay.
So they recently notified us that we could execute that if we'd like, and they'd be able to provide it. We have not done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the rates that we're looking at assume that we are going to do that.
Correct. The rates that we are providing have assumed that. They've also assumed, additional costs for, kind of monthly billing. Now that we've transitioned monthly billing, we now get a fee from CMLP to provide us that service. It's $83,000 change. That is now included in this fee structure as well as the indirect costs for other town services that are needed to support solid waste and recycling.
Okay.
So overall, the budget increase from 26 is a 12% increase
Yeah.
with those services.
And the contract was up 4.5, but isn't it 9%? I don't know why I see it's 9% versus 4.5, is that right? Ian, or no? On
On which,
the memo.
that's the next slide I'm gonna get to.
Okay. Is that different than what you're talking about? No?
Yes,
Okay,
9% is the proposed rate increase, 4%, 4.5% is the contract increase from Waste Management.
right. And the delta is because of the monthly billing and the electric. us, like the part
The
of
budget went up 12%. So
Yeah.
our expenses for FY 27 are projected to go up 12% versus FY 26. The rate, which you can go to the next slide. The rate schedule, that we're proposing, the increase from
is 9.
is a 9%
So you didn't,
increase.
what's happening to the 3? You're absorbing it somehow?
I'm gonna,
You'll explain.
yeah,
it.
I have an
Okay.
explanation.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to build some, chain reactions, if you will. So,
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
What about restaurants and like the supermarkets and stuff? I mean, I know that we don't collect for them. Do they do something separate? Would it help bring our rate down with their volume?
They have a private hauler. Our program does not allow for us to provide that service. The only services we provide to commercial entities is a recycling only service for some of the smaller commercial properties downtown.
Okay. Do our restaurants and those larger waste creators, do they have a good deal so that
I don't have any information on the private haulers for private properties.
They have other regulations too than
Oh.
residents. So
Okay.
that's why they're doing it, like slightly different contract.
I've had people complain to me that they would like to have cheaper pick, that's all.
Good.
Okay, that's not us,
Yes. So this slide shows the proposed rate schedule effective July 1st, 2026 for the next year through June 30th, 2027. The column on the far left is the rate type. Then there's a description of the service, the current monthly rate, and then the proposed rate. Those rates are increased. The proposed rates are increased 9% over the next year, with the one exception is the overflow tags, the last item. That rate is proposed to stay constant.
So how many overflow tags are they really in use?
We sell about 13,500 a year.
What?
Oh, so everybody's using them. Huh?
And why do we keep it at that level?
For right now, the cost to, there's one more year left in the contract.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep it constant because tags are already printed and distributed in the public.
Yeah.
The last time that we had to change the fee on the tags, there was a lot of people selling tags back to us. And there's an administrative burden of essentially of buying tags back, issuing cash or payment back to the resident or exchanging tags. Whereas we're going into one more fiscal year left of the contract, we're anticipating an increase, right? When we negotiate a new contract, at that point, we'll have a better idea what the budget, what the fees are gonna be and adjust the disposal tags as needed. Disposal tags are already priced higher than if somebody were to add in another barrel week to week. So it's a disincentive to continue to, buy the bags. We priced it out a little bit.
13,000.
It's about 281 tags a week across
Wow.
3,500 customers.
Instead of just getting another barrel.
And
Yeah, because people might just need it for 1 week,
Yeah.
right? If they have a party or the holiday weekend or something like that, they generate an excessive amount of trash that week, they can go down to the grocery store, buy a tag and put it out. So like I said, it's 281 tags per week it averages out to.
so I can buy the tags here and I can also buy it at Wanderhof and I think Crosby's or so. So, but they're getting a cut out of that.
Uh, Christine,
They purchase it at a discount.
Yeah.
They purchase the tags at a discount, but then
So what's the discount?
last year it was 5%. I'd have to double
Oh.
check, but I believe it's a 5% discount.
That is super low. Yeah.
It's more of a convenience.
Yeah.
It more encourages people to come in the door to shop
Yeah.
at retail as opposed to.
To making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the additional cards, it's just emotional reaction is that they new pricing $9 for a month for additional card sounds kind of low compared to what the first card costs. So what is the logic behind that?
it's the service fee.
Yeah.
So it's the cost of getting the truck to drive in front of your house and actually tip it. Whereas the, like the actual cost of an additional cart is almost like you're paying for the disposal, paying for the tonnage that you're generating. The overhead is getting a driver and a truck to service your property week after week. So it's not apples to apples. You're not having two different trucks, two different trips in front of your house to tip it. So that's the actual, close to the actual cost of paying for the actual tonnage that you're generating. That's why the cost is significantly less.
And do you show anything about what our tipping fees are,
Our tipping fees for year two, so the current year that we're in, on solid waste, it's $102.41 per ton. For recycling processing, it's $109.95 per ton. Year three is 107.02 per ton. On solid waste and recycling, it's $114.90 per ton.
so what do you,
And the recycling rate is based on a blended value commodities market, which is subject to volatility, which
Yeah.
can fluctuate. So it is more expensive to recycle. It's the right thing to do.
do we have in our contract any risk with variability in gas prices, or is it a fix?
There is a clause in there. They are able to surcharge for fuel. I don't have that
Did they
information.
so far in the last month with the high?
We haven't seen any surcharges issued to us
Yeah.
for fuel specifically.
Okay.
No.
Okay, sorry for that.
Good question. Thank you. Couple things I might add.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, for reference, right, looking back over the past 6 years of rate increases, just some historical data here. We've seen an average of a 7.3% increase year over year. FY 22 was at 10.6%, FY 23 was at 0%, FY 24 was at 10%, FY 25 was a 9.2, FY 26 was a 4.5, and we're proposing a 9%.
So why are the costs going up 12%? But you know, the number, the original number, why do they go up so much?
For the cost,
Yeah, your
So-
costs, yeah.
so our cost, from FY 26 to FY 27 to 12% was $83,000 was the CMLP
Right,
fee.
we got that, yep.
The 107,403
Those are
for
the
the
two
for the
things.
electric truck.
Yeah.
And our indirect costs, 229,631.
What's an indirect cost?
Paying for non-enterprise services, so such as like salaries for people that are paid from the general fund.
Yeah,
Correct. Townhouse, treasury, accounting, finance.
so
Support.
they're up 29,000?
That's the total cost.
Oh, that's the total cost, okay. But the other two, the 82 and the 107, that's an increase, yes?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Those were not in last year's budget, 26, and now in 27 budget. Another reason for the 9% increase is, can we go to two slides? Actually, we'll stop with that one. So in comparison, this is a good one. Are we affordable? Are we comparable? We did solicit pricing for a single family home in Concord from two private haulers, which I will not mention the names. And those are the prices we got. So currently for 1 year of service for one trash and one recycling toter, they would be $558.12. Private hauler one was $600 and private hauler two was $660. So we are still with a 9% increase competitive for a comparable service. One more slide, please. So this is some supplemental information that I wanted to throw and share and have on the screen. So what this shows is a projection, future years of projection past 27. So we're recommending in 27 a 9%. Scroll down just a little bit. Thank you. 9% increase. Right, here's our estimated beginning balance, proposed expenses, revenue, and target fund balance. So there's a FinCom directive that recommends that we have in the solid waste and recycling fund 2 months worth of operating expenses available to us. So currently we are not there. We're projected with a 9% increase to be at a fund balance at the end of next fiscal year of $204,181. Our target fund balance for next is $415. So we're about 58% of where we want to be. We did not want to raise the rates to the point over 1 year. We had a conversation with the finance department. We don't want to raise the rates so high in 1 year to get us there. So we decided to kind of work on a 5-year plan to get us closer to where we wanted to be for a end of year fund balance that met the guidelines established by a finance committee. So you can see we're anticipating just about a 4 to 5% increase in expenses year over year. And we're projecting a 10% increase next year, 9% in 29, 7% in 30, 7% in 31. And that would get us to a end of year fund balance of 461,877. Our target that year would be 489,201. So we'd be about at 94% of where we wanted to be for a target fund balance after 5 years, should these projections and costs hold, and we continue to raise the rates at a steady level.
But he's dipped down and then miraculously make it in fiscal year 31.
Correct.
So what's happening between fiscal year 30 and 31 that you suddenly get there?
Our rates have increased to the point where with the number of customers that they hold, we're generating enough revenue and our expenses aren't going up that we're able to not continue to die.
Revenue's going faster than expense on the chart. That's all that's happening.
Just in that year. Because first it's the opposite.
Hard for me to read it.
First it goes down, the fund balance, and then it starts coming back.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't check the math, but it looks like the expenses must be growing more slower.
Yeah. I think for next budget year, we have to have a good understanding what's happening against the fund balance.
Yeah.
Because right now we had half, we're getting to a third.
Well,
And
where's the capital drawdown on your
Important
balance?
question,
You can't-
capital
You
drawdown.
can't see
Yeah,
it,
there's no-
right?
yeah.
Where's that? How
We-
much do you spend on capital?
We don't spend any on capital. There's no capital expense out of this budget.
Oh, really?
It's all operations expense.
No, I know. Okay, so but in your chart, so the buildup of the reserve, so you don't assume any drawdown.
Correct.
What would
And we
you
share,
use
we do
reserve
share more
for?
detailed slides when we do the,
You're gonna use that, so that
The reserve goes against operation.
Get them to operate, what for? If we're an enterprise fund, right?
Yeah.
We budget for what we're gonna cost us, right? So what's the reserve for?
2 months.
Re-
Just 2 months in
Yeah.
case
2
something
months.
happens?
2 months operational cost.
yeah, and that's in the finance committee's policies that they've established.
Uh-huh.
And working with the CFO, we're trying to target that.
Okay.
That's been a kind of a question in the past. We've had varying levels of retained earnings. We started this year with much higher balance, over $1 million, almost close to $1 million. We've drawn that down at previous rate hearings. We said we were not going to raise the rates significantly because we wanted to draw down that fund balance. In the FinCom public hearing that was presented, kind of have some more, we have more of a deeper dive
Yeah.
breakdown into the financials. We present kind of similar numbers, right? Obviously, these numbers are a little more fine tuned now that we're going to like closer to the end of the fiscal year. But we really, we have a chart that we've shown in the past that shows revenue, expense, and how the fund balance is reacting year over year. And I can share that. I can send that information over to you.
If it's appropriate, Paul Rodriguez has his hand up.
Oh,
We
sure,
wanna-
absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so, Paul, do you want to speak up?
Yeah, so as the liaison for the finance committee, it seems that with the drawdown for the electric truck and there's no capital budget, that it's kind of counterintuitive of what we're asking for the target fund balance, and is the perfect explanation of why you're drawing down that target fund balance, because you have to pay for that large push or that one large expense, and there's no way to capitalize it. Is that a correct statement based on what I've already heard?
That could be a factor.
Yeah.
It's at
It's
least
100K,
around.
right?
It's an
it's in
expense,
the
because you're now
rate.
accounting
Yes,
it.
correct,
It
yeah.
wasn't there before.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I mean, normal accounting would accrue that over time, but based on the fund balance, you're it's like a shock to the system of $100,000 hitting it that affects operations in a way, but it kind of overstates the overall effect. So it draws your balance down quite quickly.
So on a general cost structure of the enterprise fund, yeah, that it's driven by what we pay for waste management. And I assume there's some kind of 2 elements in what we pay. One is that they just drive the truck around and be there and collect all of that. And the other one is the cost of tipping fee, the cost of the weight towards a landfill. So what's the ratio? How much do we pay in total on tipping fees versus So it's just to have the service here. And do we have a mechanism for us to see, can we reduce tipping fees by like having citizens less trash? So can we start kind of reducing costs by putting incentives out to whatever, to have less trash into the landfill?
Yeah, yes. So the cost of the tipping fees, what we're budgeting for FY 27, the tipping fee for solid waste is $370,000. The tipping fee for recycling is $350,000. And the collection service for the truck driving down the street is $1.2 million.
So the biggest one is just
Is the
driving around.
Service.
So the variability on the tipping.
It's just much less
So even
on the overall budget. The cost,
Even if you lower the weight, you're still gonna pay for this service.
correct. And that was one of the reasons we made the change 2 years ago, or with this contract, 2.5 years ago, or 2 years ago. Because it was a manual service before where they had 3 trucks and multiple operators. And if we
And then
continue with that service and increased rates to meet the budget at the time, if we were to negotiate the same contract, the price would be much more. So we were able to reduce operating costs by changing the service to automate, get less trucks on the road, because that's the main cost driver for waste management. On top of that, we have overhead. I mean, we have salaries and employees we have to
Yes.
pay, right? We have an
So
operation.
how much is that? So you have how many FTEs on the enterprise fund?
We have partial FTEs. It's kind of a mix.
Okay.
Because those employees also support other operations in our enterprise. So partially, in the budget for FY 27, there's 1, 2, 3 employees that you have full or partial salaries. It's close to 100,000, just under $100,000 total for personnel
Okay.
expenses.
Okay, so but I'm just doing again because we again and again have in the community discussions around composting. If I just do the tipping fee of 370 for solid waste, assuming 100% would do it, and we could reduce 30% of the tipping, that gives us just $120,000 credit, which would not fund a lot.
Yeah, and you have to think of, that's probably another truck in town from
Yeah.
whether it's Waste Management or another service provider,
Right.
and they're gonna
They're gonna charge. you for
Charge.
that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see is how much of a lever is the tipping fee.
Separate service, separate contract, separate billing, separate trash collection days.
I'm just
Increased staff,
Yeah, which is,
support.
yeah.
Those are all factors.
But I wonder what the effect would be, when the initiative petition that was approved at town meeting for, composting waste. You take that out of the waste stream, the solid waste.
Yeah, that's what I
stream.
try to do. That's what I say.
Doing the math.
That's the tipping fee we're talking.
That's a tipping fee, the 370,000,
100%.
assuming you take 30% out. That's
Okay,
that's
that's the
100,
30%.
Yeah.
that's $120,000 a year. That doesn't pay for a full program. Again, this back on the envelope, you definitely have to build a bigger spreadsheet for this.
Mhm.
Okay,
So, Mary, that's your presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No questions from you, questions about the rate? No? Okay.
Okay, so
Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
You think public questions?
Sure, we can do public comment.
So when your contract, this is the end of the 3-year contract, and it's next year, you have 1 more year.
Right.
So these projections are, what assumptions are you making on the contract negotiations, contract rates in this projection?
The projection is that contract would go 4.5% increase. That's what it's been the last 3 years. We're hoping to have somewhere close to the same.
You still have to negotiate that.
Correct.
Okay.
We still have to solicit services and then negotiate with the preferred
You're
vendor.
assuming 4.5%.
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Don Kupka, 39 Devon Street. I'm a member of the Finance Committee, but I'm not representing them. I'm speaking on my own behalf. And I have a few questions. I'm going to begin by going back to the numbers you just gave us about the tipping fees, because the total expenses are 2.5 million. and 370,000 for landfill, 350,000 for recycling. I think you said the truck expenses is 1.2 million. That sort of leaves us a big, I'm just looking for the total budget, all the items. There's still another $500,000 there.
So there's a detailed budget that was provided as part of the FY27 budget submissions.
Okay.
And in the budget book in ClearCode. So that's listed in there. This program not only supports just the curbside recycling program that services or that the services are provided by Waste Management is only a portion of what this entire enterprise fund covers. There are other expenses, other events in town, other services that the department provides that make up the rest of that. And I can provide, but that is also,
There's things that only benefit subscribers.
no, they benefit any fee paying member of the community. There's other things like, I'll give you an example, drop off, swap off event. If you're familiar with that. That's a fee based service that we provide. That is part of this budget.
Okay.
It's not part of the waste management contract, but we collect fees that go into this fund and we budget for the expenses out of this fund.
Okay, that makes sense. Does this commission have a goal to increase the landfill diversion rate? Is that one of your goals?
At the goal of the commission? No.
Yeah, no, okay. Just an observation that there's a disincentive to composting in Concord because it's so cheap to get an additional cart. It would cost more to divert that waste to composting than it does to simply take another $9 cart and fill it with 35 gallons of waste. So it's just something to keep in mind. While it's not your goal to divert the waste, so I understand that would be in your rate structure. It is a perhaps town goal. I don't know.
Could I provide a comment on that?
Yeah.
So previously, when we changed the program, that $9.01 for the additional cart is trash or recycling. So our strategy as part of this program has to be incentivized waste diversion, always has. And it's the recycling is that waste diversion because recycling is not waste. It's recycling, right? It's diverting waste out of the solid waste stream into recycling. So we did that by keeping that price at that low point that we're incentivizing people to get a second barrel. Another way that we tried to do that this year, or excuse me, last year when we changed the program was to make that barrel so much larger. That's why the residents get a 96-gallon barrel, right? As a default, not a 36-gallon toter the same size as the trash because we want to incentivize recycling. And we've actually seen that. We've seen the waste diversion increase up to 40%. So we have one of the highest recycling rates and waste diversion rates out of municipalities around us.
Lexington's 60%. So we could still even get better. Is there I was going to offer that if the second or additional cars cost more than the Black Earth, then that would, and we point that out to people, that would create an incentive, financial incentive.
There's not that many people that have a second container. It's
Yeah,
like 265 or something.
Yeah.
And there's very few that have 3. And then there's like literally a handful that have any more than that.
Yeah.
And I would not assume that they have the second container just because of they're not composting. It could be trash. That can't be composting. So. And
toward that end, would you consider in the future a smaller option, a 24 gallon, by putting a false floor in the existing can at a lower rate, and that through that it's just a way to use the price as an incentive. That's a question I didn't expect an answer today. Right? That's something we should think about. What do we have with the town having a liability if a private contractor dumped the trash from Concord in illegally? I've noticed a couple of private contractors who were pretty fly by night looking at very low rates, and I wonder what our exposure would be. And toward that end, I wonder if we had considered a franchise model for better control of what's going on. We could aggregate the entire demand of the town, perhaps negotiate better rates for everyone, and have control over where the trash lands at the end of the day. And lastly, I wanted to offer a thought to consider negotiating a comprehensive composting relationship that would include operation of the town's landfill, composting site at the landfill, and that could then be available to all subscribers on a par with recycling, the way we offer recycling. And the reason I throw that out there is if we only have to bring the composting to the landfill site, instead of driving it all the way halfway across the state, we save a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. Lexington is negotiating that right now with Blackbird. Thanks.
Sure, sure. Thank you for your comment. Anybody else in the public have a comment? Anyone online?
Not online, no.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
Oh, where's the text? Where's the text?
I got it. Um. Oh, I see the one. Oh, I, Gretchen Roebuck, hereby move to close the public hearing for the fiscal year 27 solid waste and recycling rates.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so, do we want to have more discussion about the rates, the increase?
I think it's for this hearing. I'm okay. I think we just have to see where the negotiations go next year, and in the negotiations with waste management, just push for a few things, clarity on their plans to prepare for composting. I think that's what we need to also at least owe our community to have some answers. If they say they have no plans, that gives us also the signal. And then I still think that we got a lot of questions when we moved for smaller bins, if that idea, and I saw it, parents in Germany have it, the same form factor, but that floor in the middle that makes a smaller bin. So it's the same arm for the truck, the same thing, but it's only half of the volume in it, if that is available or not. But that's part of the negotiations going forward. So definitely for next year with a new contract, it would be good to understand these two things. But that's not for the rate hearing now.
Any other comments about the rate here, about the rates?
It doesn't change it very much if we take out the bus. Not a bus, I'm sorry, the electric truck.
Vehicle.
Sorry. I'm stuck in the electric bus lane, but anyway, does that change much? You take it out? That's optional. Right?
Yeah, but we didn't execute, well, I don't know what, off the top of my head, how much it would change the rate. If we chose not to execute that portion of the contract and we don't spend the $100,000+ next year, obviously we could not have to raise the rates the following year as much.
Okay.
That could be an option.
So we can still decide that later if we want to use the.
Correct. We have not authorized them to start using that vehicle yet.
Okay.
We wanted to. Yeah.
I think definitely if they come back and want to charge more because of fuel cost, that's where we definitely have to look at that. Okay.
Do I have a motion to accept the solid waste and recycling rate schedule as presented?
All right, let's do it. I forget my other glasses. I, Sven Weber, hereby move to approve the solid waste and recycling rate schedule as presented and described in the fiscal year 27 solid waste and recycling rate schedule as published and detailed within the memorandum dated June 5th, 2026, as submitted by the Public Works Director.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
We're doing the director's report and the FY 27 program preview.
Bring that up. I think we have, let me see what the order is. Yeah. Well, Aaron's up. We can start with Aaron if we can start there. Just if you kind of read the director's report, Andre had asked, we just sort of look ahead a little bit as well. So you'll see every division head sort of creates his own write-up, her own write-up for the commission as Alice, for your benefit to know. And this time, just a little bit of a preview of where's, what needs to be flagged for the commission, so you can understand high level what might be on the radar. Not so much an update, but a preview. So with that said, I go down to, let me see if I can. Here we go. We're in, I'm not sure, I'm not in the screen I love, but Aaron, let's start with highway grounds. We can start with the director's report, any comments, and then kind of, where we're headed. But it's always open to your opportunity to share what you want from what we've just done and where we're going.
Yes, thanks, Alan. For next year, we will be working on putting together a public shade tree policy. It's not one of the bullet points on here, but it's relative to the first one, and really outlining what is our process for evaluating public shade trees and addressing requests for removals from the public for non-hazardous trees. That's something that it has come before the select board multiple times over the last year. Some members of this commission may have attended some of those meetings and been aware that that's something that comes up from time to time. So we have drafted a proposal or a draft policy, excuse me, that we'll be reviewing the council here over the summer and then bringing before the town manager's office and for review before it goes to the select board, and hopefully have it adopted as a policy so that it's kind of sets a fee schedule, outlines the definitions and the process for the public to remove a public shade tree. And though public shade tree by definition is any tree that's planted within the public right of way. So we're addressing public shade trees and any trees that are on town property that are outside of conservation trees. That's really what the type of trees that we deal with under our jurisdiction of public works, the two categories. So that'll be something that we'll be sharing with the commission next year. There's a public shade tree inventory that was funded 2 years ago by the town at town meeting. That has not been completed because after this was approved, shortly after a initiative to plant 250 new trees for the 250th was approved. And so we want to make sure we included all of those trees, obviously in the inventory, plus the 100+ trees that the Department of Public Works plants annually outside of that 1 year initiative. Typically we get about $50,000 per year for tree planting, and we're able to plant between 50 upwards of 100 trees per year. So we need to capture all of that information and resurvey the town. We have really good data that was done in 2017 by Davie Resource Group that put together a pretty comprehensive tree survey and forestry plan for us. Obviously, we're coming up on almost 10 years since that data was collected. A lot of trees have been planted since then. A lot of trees have also been removed, whether as recommended for that plan or through the significant weather events that we've had. So a new survey is warranted and we'll be completing that the next year. And then compost site service updates, as referenced during this meeting earlier tonight, we have obviously the compost site that we run. It is not an organic compost site, it's a yard waste compost site. It's permitted through Mass DEP. We operate that with Highway and Grounds Division of Concord Public Works. We have a number of other waste services that we provide kind of that location. We collect annually, Christmas trees, holiday lights, styrofoam, old paint, things like that are collected at that site, stored and then disposed of. That site runs seasonally. We collect yard waste, we process that yard waste into usable compost for residents to then use and pick up. It's also kind of distributed at local farms throughout town as well. So we're looking to make some updates to that site, including kind of a little better control of the visitation, and hopefully kind of reestablishing like a sticker program where residents would need a sticker that kind of verify residency and pay a fee because it's not free. Currently, it is funded out of the general fund for most of the services that are down there, as far as the staffing and the time spent, equipment maintenance relative to the equipment that operates down there. And so we're looking to evaluate that and then come before the commission at a future meeting to kind of establish what that set fee would be, and possibly kind of utilizing that site for possibly other recycling initiatives, right? The compost was mentioned, or organic compost was mentioned as a possible option. So we're kind of exploring all of those at that site as well. As well as, cardboard recycling, something we offer currently at this site in the parking lot for anybody that's traveled through here. We have a proposal for Waste Management as part of our current contract to install a cardboard compactor. And that's something we'd like to install down at that site. So we are looking at, there's an old scale house that's there as well. We're looking at, that has been in service in decades. We're looking to demo that and put up use that space for our operations. So those are kind of the new things you might see in the fall and then next season.
And to know the compost site is also is town land, and Public Works sort of manages it, but it also houses the solar array and the light plant, and there's a cell tower that's going to be going up, fairly soon. So there's a lot of different activities, but primary, active use is the Public Works.
And the off season, when it's not open to residents, it's used as our primary snow dump.
Okay.
In town, we not only plow the streets, we haul snow from parking lots and other areas. All the sightline issues that come up throughout the season, all that snow is hauled to the snow dump, which is at the compost site. We have a secondary site that we use. It's MCI's property. So obviously the future of that site's to be determined.
Yeah.
So, that would, if that gets redeveloped, we no longer would have that obviously agreement with DOC to use their site in West Concord for snow hauling, and all the snow would have to go to the compost site. So
Yeah, and it's important to understand there's lots of conversation on Public Works facilities and needs, and if we get relocated, that operation is different and unique and hasn't been, formulated into what we do at MCI, for instance, or what we do elsewhere. It's a very easy access. It's incredibly important resource for the community to do the busy work, the work that most neighbors don't want in their backyard. It's a very good location. And that's sort of important to understand when you talk about Public Works. People get kind of, they think about one aspect of Public Works, and that's a really important site for us. So it's important for this commission to know that. So.
Can I ask a question? We saw a letter, I don't think it was a petition, a couple months ago, for people saying that we should close the compost site and return it to natural land because of Walden and whatnot. Has anybody ever reached out to those people to explain to them what we're doing with it? I'm wondering, I don't think that's an upswell, but there's a small group of people in town. I was wondering if they've been educated as to what we're doing and why it's important for the town.
It's an ongoing discussion. It's been going on for years. So every 5 or 7 years, you're going to get the same knock on the door. We're interested. Any change? The reality is, well, they're making us aware of this interest. We're still, if they're paying attention, and that's why we talk about these things, to share with the community what it is we do. But there's not constant chronic back and forth, but it comes in waves. And I think the commission needs to be prepared. If it comes, how do we then respond and educate?
So the subgroup of the land use working group will look at that, had them actually come in and present. I think they had an easy solution. They proposed to relocate composting to the Peter Springfield, which are the most controversial element of the land use working group in the first place. So the underlying issue is when you move any piece of public works, where do you do it? Where do you put it?
I understand that.
Yeah.
I just want to be sure that group is that we are acknowledging them.
It's a great point of, it's one of the many constraints and conflicts and balancing act that we deal with. And so it's good to have on the radar, and we're aware of it. The town's aware of it. But, again, and I always say, you always have pressure. If something pops that we didn't anticipate, like the MCI thing, then at least, on the radar, that's an ask and that's an interest. But until that happens, we're just in a balancing act. So. Okay, Aaron, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we'll go to facilities. Russ Carlstead, you're Here, Russ is, it's kind of interesting as we talk, land use working group, and, the municipal needs and public works, just, to kind of highlight and call out. I think we're very fortunate, Russ comes to us with a lot of experience, but also an understanding of kind of not just public work facilities and needs and infrastructure and buildings and site issues, from experience, which is just really helpful for us to have someone who can literally sit down and talk with designers, developers, and kind of communicate our needs and interests, not just public works, campus, but other facilities that we're now responsible for managing. So, Russ, with that, maybe you can kind of flag first of all, is there anything from this past cycle you want to highlight of, sort of.
No, as everyone knows, we take care of the buildings, custodial and building repairs, updates, capital improvements. As been told by a smarter man than me, 4 walls and a roof. And we also have the custodial services, which has been a little bit hamstrung because we were down one, but we have hired someone that should be in the pipeline the next week or two to come in. So it's been a fairly normal last month or two. A lot of issues with heating and cooling, which normally comes up. So we're constantly fighting fires. We call it putting out fires. There's been a lot of deferred maintenance on the buildings over the last many years, and we're catching up on that. So we've been seeing fewer failures over the last 12 months because preventive maintenance has been being accomplished on a regular basis. But we do have a long way to go on that.
Oh, to the point is we've identified with various studies and reports, our aging facilities is why we're looking for replacing. And if they're not replaced, it's like a car that's not replaced. It's just more and more maintenance. And as that happens, it's Russ's team that is having to sort of continue to do that and then prioritize, where there's all these needs, how do you go through? And for this group, it's important when we talk about capital projects, which are, a HVAC system fails or, mechanical system in one of the buildings or the roof leaks. Russ has to identify, well, did we plan for this? Or is this just part of our allowance? And we have, $750,000 a year for that kind of work. So Russ and team will identify what they think they might need to do, but that always gets reshuffled with what failed because it's just, aged. So it's a challenge. And we go to the town and say, well, we really would need $2 million. Well, you're not going to get it. So now it's, how do you prioritize? And right. I think what we have, we'll start with the public works, public safety, municipal consolidation goals and initiatives. Just so public works and Russ will primarily be at the table to help guide and facilitate because it's a facility ultimately. So it's not just the siloed service area, but if there's discussion with public safety, he's going to be at the table. If it's municipal buildings, Russ is at the table. So and it's high level and it's important. It's not the routine kind of thing, but just know that public works will have, a hand in this and we'll be reporting back obviously as there's development. So that's on the high level. On Russ, what you've identified as notable projects, it might be more just people will be aware of.
Yeah, right now we're carrying a project list with about 43 or 44 items on of different scales. Like Alan alluded to, we have a kitty of $750,000 to work from every year. There is some existing capital money that exists that's been hanging around for up to 5 years that we've been spending down. One of those items is to finish the roofing on 133 and 135 Kais. And even though these buildings are going to be emptied out hopefully very soon, the next 3 to 5 years, we still have to go through and do this roof project here because we have leaks that can't be repaired and we have other damage that has to be repaired. And as we alluded again earlier, if we don't repair them, they're going to get worse. So
is there something we should do differently if we know we're going to exit the buildings in 3 to 5 years?
No, because there's no way to patch them. is as you're leaving tonight, you might want to look at that little shed roof that's over there that covers the bathrooms and the break area for 133 Kais. That roof is in horrible shape. It leaks. It doesn't seal the building in. I mean, that's where the guys forced to take their break periods and meal periods during inclement weather and stuff. And it's just in horrible conditions. That whole thing is getting ripped off and redone. That alone is worth about $60,000.
What's the total? What's the total for the roof? It's a couple $100,000, right?
We have about, I think if we have 420,000 earmarked in capital right now. It's been sitting there for 3 or 4 years. And we're gonna have to take another 150 out of other capital.
That's around 600.
Yeah, I'm assuming 600,000 on it.
Yeah.
By contrast, they're doing the roof over at Beatty Center right now. While we don't have hands-on on it, we do have oversight over their big projects. That's $1 million plus roof right now.
For Beatty?
Yeah, and what we designed for that roof to make it last 20 years is we didn't re-roof the whole building. We only re-roofed the areas that needed it. And this goes to your point of what can we do? The large barrel vault roof at the Beatty Center is going to have what's called a fluid applied membrane. It's like a paint on roof.
Mm-hmm.
And that's easily repaired. It fills in all kinds of problems and leaks, and they do have a lot of leaks over there. But it also comes with a 20-year warranty. And the secret to any roof is have it inspected every year by the manufacturer to keep your warranty good.
Mm-hmm.
Moving down the road, Beatty's going to have an addition put on over there, but they also need to have the interiors repainted. And there's also some structural failure on the rear walls that we've already have an engineered solution for. So we're going to tie this new construction project into that structural repair. So there's only one mobilization for one project, trying to save some money and time on that. So those are things we know are going to happen. Then there'll be a big repainting project on the interior of that building, which will be a very expensive project as well. So those are not even on my list. So, we have multiple lists. So we're going to do we picked out a couple, like Alan has listed here, townhouse meeting room improvements. If anyone has had a problem hearing in that room, we have some sound quality issues. So we're going to put carpet back in. The M&M is putting some new cameras in and all new sound system. So there's going to be some damage to the walls. So we're going to have it repainted. There'll be also some addition of some sound deadening devices on the walls, basically foam squares, but we have to get them, designed right and look right in the building. And that's the extent of that. That alone, for the sound, to have an outsourced person do the sound deadening, I had a price of around $180,000. So we're going to be doing it in-house. We did go and have the room tested, so there are no hazardous materials up there based on the age of the building, which was a surprise. So we won that one. 135 Kais Road space reconfigs. We're busting at the seams over here, and we have to reorganize so we're more efficient. So we're putting some money into that. We've been talking about it for at least the last year. Now we're going to have one office is going to open up on June 19th. So we're able to,
You fit 5 people.
I was gonna
That's a
say,
big one.
there you go, right? So we're gonna use that opportunity to reconfigure the office over at 135 Kais to take care of some upcoming needs that we have.
Very measuring. I'm just trying to learn.
Yeah, we had to kick them out for a while, do some measurement.
thank you for your service.
Now get out. Yeah. And Barrett Mill Farm. Now, Barrett Mill Farm also needs work. The entire farmhouse. We have a plan. We have already architectural drawings to do renovations on the exterior of that building, replace all the windows. It's in that bad a shape. But now we found we have lead on the red barn. So we have to take care of that first. So the exterior renovations of the farmhouse are going to get put off. And we're going to take care of this lead problem over at the red barn in the fall after the planting season is over. Things just happen and things roll into your place and things get moved and shoved. It's always it's always a chess game. And we try to do the best we can with the funds we have and with the staffing we have and the time. And with all the big stuff going on, there's a dozen little things going on at the same time period, like this building's getting new entryways, and some other things, signage improvements around this site. There's usually 20 or so projects ongoing at any time.
You can't do lead abatement in-house, right? You have to hire an outside certified lead person? Something that big or not?
It's not recommended to do it yourself. You know, you want to have a certified person do it because you want to make sure you can track where the disposal goes and all that, and have, you know,
They control the dust for
you control everything. Yeah. This is not going to be a huge lead abatement project. It's outside, it's one story. They can get it, they can tarp it, they can make sure it works right, depending on a method. And we'll leave the method up to the contractor when we do the hiring. We're not going to tell them how to do their job. We never do. As long as it meets the letter of the law and it's safe for us and the price is right, and we're happy.
Yeah, and along the lines, it wasn't listed, but there recently, you may have heard, there was an ADA survey done of all town facilities, and that was a grant the town got.
Yeah, there's a state grant that allowed the town to investigate buildings for ADA accessibility issues. It highlighted everything we already knew, you know, puts cost associated with it. So if you get your hands on that report, and you look at those costs, they're way off. It's a lot more money than what they're putting in there. But these are things we always attend to as we move through a building. When we see something, we fix it. You know, we know what the ADA issues are. Any building that was constructed at a time is compliant at the time it's constructed, which is referred to as grandfathering. So we need to do all this stuff, but we don't have to do all this stuff. And we want to do all this stuff, but we're going to get there in time. Like the visitor center bathrooms, we're considering to turn those into unisex rooms with one stall each, because none of the ADA stuff in there works. You know, you can't get a wheelchair in there, turn around. You know, if you look at that building, that's one of the fall projects we have on the list. Then it'll make it'll be ADA compliant. There's a lot of light switch things. If this is hung at the wrong height or that's hung at the wrong height. It's all easy fix stuff we get as we go through buildings.
Well, it's just one of those things for facilities that, again, the cost, the budget, the planning, you have to really be able to adapt and prioritize. But anyway, Russ and his team do a great job with it. I don't know if you have any specific questions. That was sort of a general overview, but.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Russ.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to water wastewater, Darren LaFollum, water sewer superintendent. Is some, you know, and again, these are things that, you know, fortunately with our regular meetings, you know, these are updates and these are just to help prioritize, not all the details. So some of these aren't surprises, but it is for your benefit to know kind of, Darren, what you and your team will be focused on in FY27.
Sure. So please feel free to make this a conversation and jump in with a question at any time. You can see we're going to move forward with some water treatment projects. By early next week, Monday or Tuesday, I'll be presenting a package to procurement to obtain engineering services to initiate pilot testing and design of 2 PFAS groundwater treatment plants, one at U Cargill, which the design portion will be obviously very sensitive since it's a fairly prominent location, and the other at Second Division. So we're excited to get moving on that front.
Can I ask you,
Please, yeah.
when we were here a month ago, the Hugh Cargo was coming offline for a while.
Yep.
And it's all.
It was rebuilt, the shaft fractured, damaging the sheath around it. So it was a pretty big failure.
Right.
Luckily, Weston and Sampson's Meyer well division was super responsive. And that's not your typical well pump. That is a vacuum well pump. So the parts are a bit more scarce. So luckily they did a great job to get that rebuilt and back together for us within 2 weeks, which as the weather was warming up, that was vital to our operation.
Great, thanks.
So thank you to them for their responsive assistance. NAGOG, I hate to say the word, but we all know about the intake there, the failed liner. That liner is restricting water flow for us to move forward in the future. We need to repair that. So we're going to obtain engineering services to figure out the most economical solution to get that back to flowing water the way it should, so that we're ready to go in the future.
Is there any political issues with us doing that?
Not until I just mentioned it at a public meeting.
No, I think it's more permitting, not political.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's an issue of, it's existing infrastructure. We're just having to kind of refurbish or rehab this liner issue, but it's not to be confused with the NAGOG treatment facility, which was cited, designed, bid, and then we had to hold off because of PFAS, and then the permit expired. That was a real effort. Just for this group, our focus is going to be on a water treatment in Concord. And now, just so people are aware, it was intended to be sited at the municipal light plant by the Rotary. And while we were getting ready to get more detailed design, that was when MassDOT started showing concept plans that they might be interested in that real estate. And in the interest of not completing a design and construction on a facility that could really have an impact regionally, we've held back. So we're deferring any work, focusing on the groundwater sites and trying to navigate what's the right and best final location for that much needed treatment facility. But that is not in a design mode at this point. That's really in a working with DCAM and MassDOT on a site that may be beneficial for all.
Okay, so that was like the land swap kind of thing that was all happening in that area.
Kind of one of the
Okay.
considerations, you know, that as we know, I don't say that, as we all know, MassDOT's design concepts are, you know, fairly significant redesign of the area around the Rotary, and in essence, a lot of work sort of to the northwest as well.
Mhm.
And that's where our site was going to be. So that's all work in progress that we'll be, you know, working through. But on the kind of more brass tacks with water sewer, it's focus on what we can do, which is pilot design for the groundwater supplies.
Okay.
PFAS, there is a regulatory deadline that we're trying to meet. Recently, there were some changes in an extension of that deadline, which
We
is
just learned today that you have to apply for that extension this coming year.
okay. So we'll go through an administrative process, but what that does allow us is a little bit more time to get those systems in place.
On the NAGOG treatment facility, every year that it's getting pushed out, the cost will go up.
Mhm.
So is this understood by MassDOT? And I'm just like them putting us on a break, our costs go up. I'm just saying, is there something to negotiate with them, or?
Well, it's all negotiable,
Yeah.
all of it. I think it's just the reality is we really did not want to become, you know, set our treatment facility in to the detriment of Concord.
You know, that I think the
But I
decision
think
is
what you're
right,
saying is negotiating and
but you're pushing this out year over
Correct.
year over year,
Correct.
and with
There's also one other advantage. There may be, and we've been looking at treatment innovation, and with PFAS, it is such a monumental impact worldwide, but you know, nationally, there's so much money going into treatment, and the treatment regime that we have is I would say,
At its infancy.
well, we're not even at the infancy of the next level. What kind of treatment could occur? And you know, there was a lot of questions early on. What's the right media? How often does that media need to be changed out? Lots of complexities.
There's a lot being learned in the industry over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
That'll help future plant designs be more efficient and understand the impacts of operations.
And or could someone come through with a better, you know,
Solution.
treatment? And a lot of people are working on it because there's a lot of money involved.
no, everyone has to work on it. So
Yeah.
we're hoping in that sense.
It'd be
that there
nice
is some cost efficiencies by learning from.
not being an early adopter.
Yeah.
But it's all of it. There's risk on all front, you know. So
We also have, I'm not sure what percent design, the plant design we have on the shelf was, but we have an upflow clarifier design sitting on a shelf. It would have to be reviewed to make sure it was applicable to a new location. And we would still have to add the PFAS treatment. but there could be some cost savings. They're already having an initial done, potentially done and potentially applicable to a new site.
Well,
But-
important.
But this intake is an important step to be ready
Yes.
to move forward when we can move forward.
Yes.
We'd hate to be ready to move forward and we won't be able to move forward because we haven't taken care of this yet.
So did we estimate a water consumption needs for what could be built at MCI? If we hear the number of units that DCAM wants to have, will it have a major impact on our?
It'll have an impact. Now, we are replacing what was a pretty
Oh, yeah.
significant demand.
Yeah.
And that's where NAGOG is, we're fortunate that we have this window of time, but we do need to proceed with design and construction of a facility within the next couple of years. That's
Because the
our
prison
plan.
was about 12%
Yeah.
of
That's
the
right.
capacity.
Yeah, it's like 800,000 gallons a
Yes,
day.
yeah.
So that's just part of the complexity of what we manage and how we try to manage.
Another interesting nuance that we need to understand is that operating these PFAS plants at the wells. Currently, if we need more water from a well, we turn up the pump speed. If we need to shut off a well, we shut it off. If we take 2 of our 6 wells and we make them PFAS treatment plants,
You can't
you
do
can't
that.
just do that. They
Yeah.
need to keep running at a minimum volume, otherwise they become unhappy. And shutting them off and turning them on has its own complications. So we need to really make sure we have a good handle on how that's going to affect our operation. And coming in at this stage with an engineering company that's already done several of these plants, it's going to very much help our operations understand what we're getting involved in before we do get involved in.
At the moment, we only needed 2 of the wells.
And one of them is close, but we won't talk about that until
Yeah.
it materializes.
Yeah.
It seems like PFAS can go up as groundwater tables drop. Almost like the way I envision it is you have a plume of PFAS someplace, and as the groundwater drops,
Goes down.
pulling groundwater from further away, results creep up. At least that's what I've seen in a few cases that I've been related to.
Bummer.
The dry
Or just
years
treat the
are
problem
good for the
Good for us.
No, it's, again, why you have professionals, why we stay tuned to what's happening, and we're not alone. Every community is really struggling with this, this requirement. You know, it's not an option.
Water rates are skyrocketing everywhere because of it. It's not just the cost of building the facility, but then it's the cost of maintaining it and swapping out your media every 8, 10, 12, 18 months, whatever ends up being for you. It's a lot.
One of the other reasons we're involved with the regional assessment for, what would it take to bring an MWRA in, just not for tomorrow or 5 years or 10 years and 20 years, because the industry continues to evolve. And we've also overlaid climate, which is going to be more extreme drought, more extreme flood, and our systems are, it's challenging. We have really significant swings in your design basis, so all these things are in play, but that's what we do and why we do it.
One more quick divergence while we're talking about climate. I recently read that in some areas in the east and the northeast, precipitation is going up, but it's coming in more intense bursts of storms. So that while precipitation may be going up, the realized water that you can use in your groundwater supply is dropping at the same time.
This last
Over
winter
that.
was a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
We had that huge blizzard, I'm like, great, we're gonna have water supply this year. It's like, yeah, that was a one and no.
Yeah.
When
We've
the
done a
ground's
lot
frozen.
We've done a lot on demand management. I'd like to say, as we talked a little earlier, our program is very evolved and mature. And so, Concord we have a good system in place. And for the most part, people are fairly responsive. The messaging is clear. But, we continue to remind people to try and be, efficient. It was funny, if you read the bridge, you see schools are teaching this, students are, writing too. And well, it's important to know what's happening, internationally, locally, we have our own challenges too. But and the awareness is, I think, increasing across, the state. So,
and you may as well review our water restriction right now. It's at level 1, yellow, which means 1 day a week on your trash day.
It is because we have not Concord has not received our new water use permit yet. When we do, they're getting more strict for each water supplier. So it's possible when we do receive it, and it could be any day, month, or year now, kind of at the back end, most of the other communities have received theirs. It probably will be that we will be tied to the state drought level. So right now, the state drought level is a level 3, which bans on non-essential outdoor water use. But right now, we are not tied directly to it because of our aging water use permit. And we are at a 1 day per week.
Wastewater or no, SCADA? Yeah, next.
With the state of the world, it's important for your SCADA systems to be secure. Our SCADA system is aging and in need of attention at all levels, but our first step this year is to fix the firewall and secure remote login.
What's a SCADA
Yeah.
system?
Supervisory control and data acquisition. It's the human machine interface that lets us see and control all of our equipment in the field remotely.
Mhm.
And remotely is the key word there, because that means there's a way to access it and you have to make sure that's secure. So step 1 this year will be firewall and secure login for our water system. There's going to be a larger step next year that we'll tackle then. It's going to be more of a comprehensive upgrade. And jumping to the next one, the wastewater treatment plant. Their system is very aged. The 2 computers that are acting as the servers for the SCADA system are well past the point of being able to be updated. So we're going to try to tackle that in the immediate future as well. Also at the wastewater plant, for upgrades this coming year is to replace 2 of the 4 clarifier drives. For anybody who's visited the wastewater treatment plant, the clarifiers are the big cylinders with the water in it and the arms that sweep around. The drives are aging. They are not happy. So we will replace 2 of the 4 this year and the other 2 next year. The COMAG system, our state-of-the-art coagulation system, is in need of new variable speed drives. So we're going to tackle that replacement this year, as well as updating the PLCs, the computers that control those drives. Last year, we initiated year 1 of a 3-year inflow and infiltration program. We're inspecting the 32 miles of sewer mains throughout the town. This is going to give us the information we need to target repairs after the inspection is done. While the inspection is going on, we're tackling repairs that can be tackled quickly, like root ball intrusions. And when we learn where the weak spots in the system are, we can go in and do some relining to reduce the infiltration and intrusion.
Right, big issue with capacity that we try to stay ahead. In fact, I believe Don's mentioned this in the past. It's a way of creating capacity, but only so much, and systems weren't designed 100 years ago to be as tight as we would like them now, but that's where significant effort. We have an ongoing program in monitoring of that. So
Do we, is that out of, we're not doing that. We have a.
yeah, we have a third party. Yeah,
We have a contractor. Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna be wicked impressed if you had our own. I was like, whoa.
No, we have a
I mean,
third party.
DMWA had it, but it was a very, very
Yes.
elite little group.
We thought I've looked into getting our own camera truck, but the cost to play is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it won't be worth it someday, but until I can justify it, you won't hear me talk about it.
Okay.
Is it this program that we spend some of the sewer improvement
It
fee
is.
on? Okay.
This is the exact kind of thing that we use it for. Good question?
I don't know if it's,
Oh, please, jump.
again, Don Kupka, 59 Devon Street. Our house, 1885, the sewer lateral has probably never been replaced.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's infiltration outside of the public network
Mhm.
within private property. And I wonder if there's any thought to that. I know in some communities, you have to have that tested for integrity when the house is sold.
Yes, great question. And
So we do have a 50-year policy. If you were doing any work on your property and your water service line or sewer service line is over 50 years old, we do require those to be replaced.
Awesome.
yeah, any work, substantial work on your, structure.
Anything over
That trigger
$200,000.
$200,000 triggers that. And we've had a lot of success. And that was something we've had implemented for about 15 years. So we were early adopters with that. I'm very pleased because there's been a return on that. It's not easy. We understand there's a cost to the homeowner. And when you're doing a new, a significant rehab, what we try to do is say that is the time where you have the money, you're borrowing, bake that in, but even with that, it's not inexpensive, and we know that, and the commission will hear regularly about didn't plan on this. Well, it's necessary, so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was a little surprise when you do it on your sewer connection, then you find an underground tunnel leaving your house and a historic commission jumping upside down.
So just a
I can only control,
Yeah.
So cool.
not when you're the owner.
Did you have archaeologists on your property?
Well, they all showed up and they said, okay, you can backfill, but they took notes. So we found stuff from 1850.
Wow.
So cool.
We're gonna sign up for a tour.
Yeah, to
Bring
bring
your
your
shovel. You have to shovel
You've
this.
heard of the Count of Monte Cristo, right? So.
Yeah, that's about that, yes.
Moving on, if we do take over the MCI Concord wastewater treatment facility, we will be investigating who's gonna manage it. Will we do it in-house? Will we subcontract it? We will be managing the transfer of operation. And we will be managing the implementation of improvements. And based on recent events there, those will start immediately with safety improvements. The water meter system upgrades. We initiated installation. We got a contract for meters last fall, initiated installation of meters in-house, which is a huge burden for our guys, a huge task, and they're tackling it like champs. And so far, they've installed 24% of the system with new meters in September. And that's great, but that's still going to lead us 3 years at a minimum to get it done. And there's motivation to rectify the zero read situation with the dying batteries as fast as we can and move on to the Eaton system 100% as fast as we can to hold them accountable for the promises made in that contract, the 98% read rate. So we're looking to subcontract meter installation. The value is actually really good. The cost, last I checked, was around $110 per meter installation for a subcontractor to do it. And that includes the administrative front end of scheduling the appointments. So now that we have our administrative back end of getting the meter information into the billing software accurately, it's time to move forward with ramping up the speed of the installations. So we'll be presenting procurement with that package to go out to bid for meter installations in the very near future as well, next couple of weeks.
How much does that accelerate the 3 years?
I don't know until I talk to the installation company, but I think we could probably get it done by next year at this time. That's just a guesstimate at this
That's
point.
awesome.
Wow.
It'll be a big step forward for us.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting as well, we've gone through a lot of evolution of needs and identifying when it comes to our customer service area, the meter management, the NISC billing software. Internally, we've absorbed a lot of new responsibilities, skill sets. We haven't expanded our personnel, and we really are in a position. I know last year there was a real interest in, how many FTEs we can expand. Well, the space that we're bursting out of, we need the people to do this work. And, you're probably going to hear more about that as well, but we're
doing some much appreciated foreshadowing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there not lessons to be learned? I mean, CMLP did the same thing,
Yeah.
all the meter replacements. Aren't there some similarities between how they implemented?
It's a great question, Alice. The challenge we had is, we were working with CMLP on systems. CMLP is what I consider sort of the bigger enterprise. They're more complex with the way they have to finance the costs of service. So they usually dictate the systems we use. The systems we use for water, sewer, stormwater, solid waste recycling were designed for municipal light plants. It's never great when you're the add-on, and we've been the add-on. And part of that is over a lot of transition with staff, and they had to finish their program before we could start ours. They were the backbone for which we would then build on. So it took them a while to get their program up, implemented, completed. And so we were on hold. Even the technology that we ended up procuring as part of that original contract. We're now 3 years into it. So some of the lessons learned are, and some of the challenges are, they did service for us, their staff, that they will no longer provide because they don't need it. So the complementary needs are no longer complementary, and they have to serve their ratepayer. So that's part of what we're trying to sort of understand. So that's part of the complexity of staffing and some of the services. But with the technology, there's better information, more accuracy, and I think better conservation. And so these are just things to be aware of. And I'd love to say we knew what was coming, but we've also, especially in water and sewer, there was significant transition over the last 5 years. We've had Darren's a third superintendent. We have a number of mid-level managers. Without continuity of personnel, with a lot of change, it's been challenging. And I think right now we have a team that we're getting the core team, some great people, but I think just being respectful of the fact that we've learned some things and now we're getting into implementation. It's good for the commission to know. So, but anyway, I think other than that, I don't know if you have any questions on water, wastewater before we go to engineering.
Great, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Keep it going.
All right, Steve Duprez.
Oh, no, you're gonna take down our technology. Good, we have someone in the room can help us on that.
Oh, now the camera is gone.
The camera gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
The water guy.
My work here.
My work here is done.
Something.
I can still see it on my side.
No, this is off now.
Yeah, because
So that
that's-
got pulled out. Yeah, let's get unplugged. You see where that's going?
What did you do, man?
All right, let's see. I don't,
Can you check if the plug is in over there?
It had pulled on this.
this is power here.
Wait,
Oh, wait, hold on.
wait.
That one?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Oh, yeah, over
No,
here.
it's the wrong camera here.
There it goes, right there. Maybe not.
Yes.
Facilities needs to do a safety inspection of this building.
That's IT.
Just for the one listening, we just lost the owl here, so we just.
Borrow my glasses out.
No, it's just, this is,
Come on, you will get the USB in there.
no, it's not.
Maybe someone,
I'm not sure this goes.
yeah, maybe it doesn't need both.
That's not the right connector here.
Hold
This
on.
is just next to it.
Okay, hold on, which is it? It's this one.
Is that one?
It's connected here to,
The connection's over there, okay.
That doesn't seem to be the right,
connected to here.
There we go.
Did that work?
Got it.
Hazardous waste
That's work.
disposal companies back in like the eighties. They
Business.
they pick up.
So I don't see the light on here yet. Okay, now I see the eyes. Yep, that's good. All right.
They would just
Back in
run,
business.
they're back in business, so it's empty, and then they turn around and come back.
Yes, you're back in business.
Okay. Linda, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, we can hear you. Can you see us?
Yeah, I didn't lose any connectivity.
You didn't lose any connectivity? Okay, all right, so
But
we're
I'm
back.
also the host, so I'm not sure if that matters.
Paul Rodriguez, can you hear us? Just curious.
I can hear you and see you.
Okay, great. Okay, we're back. Thank you. Thank you, Sven, again.
Stand to the race.
Oh, I will write in.
Many talents. Have you ever tried installing new meters? Just,
All right, let's get the show. Let's start.
New idea.
Thanks.
All right, Steve. So, I think, can everybody see what's on the, yeah, I think we're back. So
Yeah.
Steve, if you can
Yeah.
take the lead on your programs.
All right, thank you, Steve Zucker, town engineer. I'll start with the pavement management. We've been going full force. focusing a lot of paving on some major streets. Actually, most of those were from last year. They were last year carryovers. And we, the only street left on those carryovers is Maple Street, which they'll get to pretty soon. And then we're developing a schedule for the FY 27 streets. And if we see other streets in the future that can be done, for efficiency's sake, for costs, savings and so on, we'll do those. But obviously we have to coordinate with abutting projects, coordinate with utilities. So you would have seen that we milled a portion of Main Street between Ornac and Route 2 and hasn't been paved. We put up paving off to allow National Grid, who came in and said, we'd like to relay our mains. Then obviously we had to give them a deadline, told them by the end of July. Just a couple of days ago, they came back and said, no can do. It'll take much longer for them to develop a project and install it. So we're going to go ahead and finally pave that street.
Good.
And wrap that up.
But then we have a period where they can't come back and do it.
Yes, so there's a 5-year moratorium, and not sure of their decision-making process, but I think they're wagering on whether they can last 5 years and then go back and cut the street. We've seen where they can do that. In some cases, they just can't wait. They may have an emergency leak and they have to go out there. If you're cutting during the moratorium, the 5-year moratorium period, we are going to put some requirements for your restoration, curve to curve paving,
Yes.
Paving this direction, to 20 feet in each direction to cut. So those are sometimes requirements we can place on people who didn't want to get ahead of the paving. We've tried to notify people ahead of time, get your projects together, but like us, everybody has to have a capital plan. Water does, National Grid. We had a discussion with CMLP a couple of days ago, and they themselves are thinking of, putting a plan together to work in conjunction with a paving program. But we're hearing from them that they need a 5-year window to develop a project. The paving doesn't really give us that luxury because 5 years on the street could go from good to failed. So you just don't have that. So the driver is the pavement condition. Speaking of which, our funding is to get to a high target in 5 years. So for FY 27, with the investment that we're putting, we are estimating that we might get to a pavement condition of about 77. You see that in our report. Now you ask how can you measure that, right? The most accurate measurement is doing a field survey, but it's quite expensive to do a field survey of the entire town. We try to do that every 3 years, and the next time it's scheduled is actually in 2027. But at the end of this year, we're looking at estimating it should be about 77. We can do that in the arrive at that number in different ways. Obviously, when a street gets paved, it gets 100, and but other streets are deteriorating. So the program that we use, it's called City Logic. We plug that in, and it's theoretical assessment, but we can see if we can get that number through that system.
Good.
All right?
So when we do new paving and whatever we do, what about quality control? I'm perhaps too German here, but I'm getting a bit frustrated if I drive a newly paved road and then still bumps through a manhole because the manhole is suddenly an inch lower than the road. So I'm just, again, Germany is like, you drive over it and it's all level, and manhole or not, you don't have that experience. So I'm a bit frustrated about that. And then the other one I have is, if we look Main Street on what was done near the library the year before, you already see cracks in the middle where the one lane and that and one lane and the other connect because they paved it in two things. and you already 1 year in start to see the cracks coming in, and I can just already imagine what it means with say 2 cold winters coming or so.
Yeah.
And then we have a brand new street. So what's the quality control? And how is there any warranty of what they're doing? Or I'm concerned with doing all of that, and there are all these things that suddenly drive a failure of a road faster than we want.
So let me take each one in turn.
Yeah.
So I too have been for many years been frustrated with what happens around our structures,
Yeah.
manholes, catch basins. It is a point of failure in the street. So the less structures you have in the street, the better off you are. But every utility wants to be there. And not only, see all kinds of gates, all kinds of vaults, all kinds of manholes. And catch basins, obviously, that's a necessity because you've got to catch the drainage. You get a bid based on a standard, and we use the MassDOT specifications. That's the standard that they have to bid on. The bidders use subcontractors for adjusting your castings, and that's pretty much what the problem is. The subcontractors are never that good. They go in there, and even though we watch them, they place things, they don't ever hit the exact grade or shape, because the road has a pitch, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crowned.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be that
Yeah.
2%.
Yeah.
But often you can get that. And even if they achieve the 2%, sometimes it's half an inch below the finished pavement. So, and then the paver comes along, and it's all today controlled by computers, and they can't hit that manhole where it is. So it's always lower. So that's one issue. When newly paved road, you have a difference between the casting and the paved road. The second problem with this is that it never lasts as long. You'll always see those structures starting to fail prematurely.
Yeah.
2 years, and then you have to come back and raise them. And they have all kinds of mechanisms out there you can use. You can use lift rings and so on, which it's a kind of a new thing to adjust them to get back to the level. One of the things that we've been finding regarding the failure is to put concrete. You put concrete around your structures, right? That will last for a long time. But the problem with concrete is that when you have manhole here,
Yeah.
a gate here, and so on, and you want that concrete to cure, now you have to pass vehicles around the concrete. And you just can't do that because you got to wait for 24 hours. You can wait a couple hours and it will set, but it will not achieve its strength. So the concrete, placing the concrete and waiting for it to cure is a problem. So what we elect the next best thing is to pack it with gravel and then pave around it. And that's the method we use. We still try to use the concrete on neighborhood roads where cars can go around concrete. So the problem with major roads is more traffic, the less than standard way of placing your manholes, use of subs who are not that great because of the pricing, that your contractor shops around and he wants to get half decent sub at the right price. All of that.
But there's no warranty or.
So we do have a warranty. If the difference is severe, it's really a problem. We can get a contractor to come back, but you will see they have to cut it out. You see a patch like that. But we have called them back to do some. Regarding the seam, the longitudinal seam, the proper way, my understanding, to take care of a seam is to have a sealer, a specialized sealer between the seams. Contractors say when if you pave a length, you have a one long run, you put a sealer, and cars, you're sort of trying to run cars, right? Because you hardly ever shut the road down. That stuff smears the cars all over. Now you have a lot of complaints to deal with. You have residents who are driving from their driveway out, and they're going over that, and they don't like doing that because it bleeds all over. It's really messy. So we haven't been using it, but I'm thinking that we We have a new consultant that's helping us with the implementation of this program, and they're saying we got to figure out how we to get.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah,
Yes.
because my fear is on that seal, if I see how it looks after one winter.
We do come back and we do crack sealing.
Yeah.
To keep the water from infiltrating.
Yeah, but still, again, I'm too German. Is on the road my parents live, which is 50 years old. There's not even a single crack ceiling on it. So there must be technologies that deliver better. So I'm just.
Yeah, well, we strive to do better. We do have quality control. We have eyes on the pavement. We do testing.
Yeah.
We do testing in the field. We do testing in the lab. But you can spend a lot of money on testing and quality control. But in the end, it's, the bid prices for local roads, like what we have, versus what the state does. But if you were to require what the state does for quality control, we probably price ourselves out. Yeah.
I don't want to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. I hear you explaining reasons why, but we know it can be done. I mean, we're paying for it to be done. So at this point, I think it's a question with the $27.5 million bond issue of getting what we pay for and not accepting substandard work. And I agree with Sven's comment that driving on a newly paved road and hitting bumps is so frustrating, especially when you just know that you paid for the better quality than you're getting. Hubbard Street was done. I lived around the corner. The granite curbing is helter-skelter. There was right off the bat. And I thought of sending new pictures, Alan, but I decided not to be obnoxious. I thought for sure somebody's going to come through and punch list this. It's just the quality is here, and it needs to be what we're paying for, because we're paying the contractor whether they're doing it or not. And it just my big reservation. I almost voted against the bond issue because I don't think we get what we pay for, and that's just a matter of raising the bar. That's my take on it.
So I'm going to respond to that, because when we estimated these projects, we put them out to bid, we were estimating $125 a ton of asphalt in place. Contract bid, low bid, is $95 a ton. So maybe the answer is we are getting what we're paying for. We go with the lowest bid.
Do we have to take the lowest bid?
No, know the exact answer for that. Yeah, I think generally we take the lowest bid, but it'll be hard if you don't.
State contract, I think we have.
The specifications.
We have this.
They have to meet the specifications.
Well, the state procurement law, we haven't called state procurement law. If they're responsible to meet the qualifications of the bid, we take the lowest bid. We also do references, and oftentimes we have same contractors bidding projects year after year, and have a good relationship. So with those, I will say, just from a operations perspective, one additional reason you sometimes will hit a structure and it's lower than the roadway. It could be a worn structure that we don't own and we can't replace. So ideally, when you're paving a road, what's included in Steve's bid package is that we're adjusting castings. But we don't necessarily own those manholes, and we're not going to go out and purchase Verizon a brand new manhole and cover and replace it. So sometimes what gets replaced is the old worn manhole and cover. So then it's going to be a little bit lower because it's worn steel, right? It's not brand new where we're replacing our castings with brand new. Second note is we plow snow in the wintertime. So those castings are at all flush or above grade. The snowplow will strike that casting, causing damage to the vehicle and then more damage to the roadway. So anytime we do pave as part of the specification, they are intentionally a little bit lower than the roadway because they have to allow for that steel blade to pass over them without creating a hazard in the roadway for
So, but if we have this good relationship and now multi-year contract leverage with these suppliers, it appears that this subcontractor is one issue. So I would encourage you to, in your negotiations or talks with the contractor, to say this is a specific concern raised. It's that they increase the quality of the subcontractor for these things to address that.
And we just actually had that discussion
Yeah.
week, 2 weeks ago, and they said they have a better sub. This for
And then for the
Yeah.
seal, you already said as you're discussing that, I would highly encourage to, when we do this, put the seal there, have a proper seal.
Yeah.
You have IMEG now helping you with the quality control in the field. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so there's someone out there checking.
Yeah, yes, we have, we have eyes on every project now.
Okay.
We could also put something out there saying that when we've paved and there's the ceilings on there, do not cross it. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be times you have to turn and cross it, but maybe we just let people know, keep off of it.
I see we have a.
Yeah, I see another
Yeah.
name. There's a Betsy. We want to take,
Absolutely.
yeah, sure. Betsy, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Betsy Olson Mikowski, 1741 Wedgewood Common. And let me just get my notes open real quick. Okay. So I just wanted to say thank you for widening the shoulder on Thoreau near CCHS. That's a great step towards safety, and we really appreciate that. And just thank you for the responsiveness. And then I have a question. Do you have any plans to apply for grant funding to add a sidewalk along Thoreau Street?
Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of discussion on safety improvements. Maybe we can talk
Sure.
then a little bit
We can
and how
talk
that
about
might
it
fit.
in a little bit, sure.
So, yes, Betsy, if you listen in, we'll cover some of that. You know, we're not, Steve, I don't know, we're in the pavement management program.
Oh, we can move on?
Yeah, so we'll
Sorry.
circle back, Betsy, and hopefully address your question, okay?
All right.
Thank
We're not making on time now because of me.
Okay, let's go
Yeah,
to.
so the Route 2 rotary corridor improvements, this applies to German engineering to this. We engineering and DPW, CPW, we've been using Stantec to help us monitor the design, especially the conceptual design of the rotary. So we spent quite a bit of time with MassDOT. And so there's a meeting on June 24th where
Public meeting.
public meeting, Mass was going to present their options. And so we all encouraged to attend. So you learn more about them, obviously, on junior MCI meetings, you hear about those as well. But I've also wanted to mention that the other interchanges, so that everyone east of the Rotary, MassDOT is looking at making bicycle and pedestrian improvements. So they've been communicating with me directly, and they're interested, for instance, Route 62. They're interested in how we are going to restripe Route 62 regarding lane widths and shoulder widths and so on each side of Route 2, so they can match their improvements with ours. So we have that close coordination, and we'll do that all along at every interchange. All right?
Yeah, and engineering with Steve really involved, you know, he is the subject matter expert locally. And when you're dealing with a contractor, Stantec, they're doing a lot of the work. Steve has to sort of check and make sure it's within reason. Does he understand it? And then coordinating with MassDOT, you know, Steve and I have worked closely on that. So it's effort, and it's something which Public Works does have, you know, sort of a vested interest in tracking, monitoring, and participating where we can. So.
On the roadway safety improvements program, the Transportation Advisory Committee, they made recommendations on the list of requests and projects and so on. And those recommendations were sent to Stantec to further evaluate, to look at how do you go from this list to real projects. And so they've been coordinating with us, the traffic management group, which recently got together and started looking at each of these projects. And they'll continue, I believe, tomorrow. We'll meet again and discuss further these projects, so we can make some of these projects, bring them to reality, especially the short-term projects that can be done together with the streets that are being paved. And for example, the striping of streets so that you can get narrow lane widths, shoulders that will provide bicycle accommodations. We talked about probably enhanced crosswalks, some temporary speed bumps on certain streets. So we are working on developing let's say a list that are implementable, and then bring that list back to TAC to at least to let them know that we're moving
So
forward.
that list is right now with TMG,
Yeah.
and then that will go back to TAC.
That's
Correct.
Okay.
And TMG is going to, there's some decisions that need to be made. What can we move on and integrate it with the roads program? We've already got the input from TAC as far as their interests. So the goal is we're going to sort of provide them with an update. These are the things we're moving forward with. These are the approximate costs that we're talking about. Because ultimately, as you understand, there's an allowance of about $2.5 million for these enhancements. Some of that money's already been spent towards engineering services. All of this iterative process of refining, looking at the database, creating it is safety related. So, we're going to start keeping track of, here's the budget allowance. This is where the money's been spent. This is where we're going to be proceeding with this construction season. And it'll allow TAC, knowing going into the development of the FY28 budget in the fall, to know, okay, what hasn't been done? What do they, what would they recommend, knowing what the potential costs might be? And are there issues that might be outside of what they see as a $2.5 million allowance could be standalone? I'll give you an example. What if, it's Kenny Dunn Square was a priority that we didn't want to wait. It's going to be its own. Well, TAC may want to advance that as an initiative, another capital project. That's okay, but Public Works is focused on the roads, pavement condition. TAC is going to be there to help inform
I'm just trying
that.
to understand that, because we've seen a few flow charts, and I want to
Yeah.
know where that information is going and where it's going back to. So it's going back to TAC. So that's where people go when they want to hear about what's happening with those safety initiatives.
Mhm.
Have you thought about putting a representative from the school and from TAC on the TMG? Because the schools have some interest in safe routes to school and some.
So, for instance, TAC is overseen by community development. So just like Public Works doesn't have someone at TMG, you have staff. So, it's a question of, should TMG be reformulated? And we're just going with the model that's been, and that's been police, community development, and Public Works.
There's just not a lot of insight into that group, when you meet, what you discuss. And having a member of TAC might be helpful to the public in understanding that process. And a lot of other towns who have groups like that, they call them traffic safety management groups, and they often include a representative from the schools. So it's just something to think about.
Mhm.
I haven't been, I really still don't know what TMG does or when you guys meet, so I'd like more insight into that myself, and I think I'm not the only one.
Okay,
Do you have a question?
I have a quick question for Steve. Given the NCI Concord rotary and what will happen during that construction phase is we'll have a lot of mode shifting of people, and we'll have even more cut throughs, and it will exacerbate the current problems we already have. I don't know if you're talking with MassDOT about that and potentially doing mitigation prior to them doing the construction and redesign, because there's just gonna be so much more people cutting through.
I hate to say that. I don't want to predict what's going to happen in 25 years.
No, I'm talking about during the construction.
No, so there's two things. There's construction of MCI, redevelopment there's going to be, and then you're talking about the rotary itself. So Steve is a little bit, he's been around a while. He knows how MassDOT, the schedule and work. So I think when they are teeing up, trying to get funding this fall, to do a design this fall. Their schedule, and I think it might be part of the discussion when they have their information, kind of schedules, I think trying to understand what is a reasonable project schedule. I've said to this group, and I highly recommend anybody interested, go look at the project in Natick, over Route 9. They have a very robust website. It talks about schedules, and that was a priority, and it's being realized. And I think you kind of see the way they phase things. It's kind of, should it be on a radar? Yes, but it's not quite. That discussion would almost be premature because of what Steve sees is what I think the realistic schedule for a change.
Like, if you're already having a discussion with MassDOT and we're trying to, get on their good side and maybe you can get some stuff from them, maybe we could start bringing it up in the conversation as part of like the larger picture that, because we definitely need funding for some of the traffic calming if they could help us out with that, because what they are planning on doing is going to, like I said, exacerbate current problems we have. So they can just be part of the solution.
Yeah, but if the question is about the impact of construction of the rotary, it's obvious, we'll have to deal with, they'll have to deal with it, but it's, I don't think they will address that at this point in time. It can address anything that's short term. I'm sure, yeah. But my view, having worked on a lot of DOT projects in many states, is that it takes a very long time because of the
question is, they are looking, as Steve mentioned, at some of the other intersections, which is good. There's some attention on that. It dovetails with the town wants. And so the rotary and that awareness of that whole corridor is really helping us advance some things. And I think the question is how best to integrate town's interests, schedules with MassDOT.
But it's a very good question to have them address at the public meeting on the 24th.
Definitely.
And see if they have any.
And really, they're going to be communicating what their thinking is, and they're also going to be listening for the first time to the community. So I think raising those sorts of things, that's a good opportunity. Mm-hmm. And and not that staff is not going to ignore that either. I think we just have to put it sort of on the radar.
Right. So the question that came from the caller was about the project on Thoreau. Sidewalk project. So that's one of the projects on the tax recommended list. And so part of what we have to do is look at available funding and how to use that funding in the most prudent fashion to address all these requests. A sidewalk of that magnitude will take a lot of money. So it is probably the best course of action to go after a grant like a Safe Routes to School grant or Complete Streets grant. And when those open up, if TAC or even TMG would decide that this is the one to go after, then we would probably do so.
Mm-hmm. And Andre, to circle back on the concern and what does TMG do? TMG has been sort of a not structure. It's done the routine things, but the opportunity right now is we now have a list of those things that have been identified. Everybody now knows it. Prioritized with tax involvement. Now we're trying to say, what can we do within reason with the existing construction season so we're not waiting to do some things. And I think it's going to be something like the sidewalk. If it's on the list, I can tell you TMG isn't going to unilaterally decide to do it or not. They would bring it forward to say, these are things that can easily be integrated. We know their needs. There's reasonable, cost to them. We can get efficiencies. Staff will be making, it's not a request. It's going to be information on what we're moving forward with. That's what TMG is. The sidewalk question would be, well, you're not addressing that. We'll say, well, that's right. That isn't a simple, that's a discussion TAC might want to have.
I understand.
So,
I know how it's been.
No, it's not, I'm trying to help. Mm-hmm. The question is general enough. I want people to understand how we see it in TMG. Yep. So,
okay.
All right. So also mentioned this, the appreciation was shown for the striping on Thoreau.
Yeah.
So that's through our striping program, or restriping, I would say. We're shooting for narrow travel lanes. We're looking at 10-foot lanes. It's pretty much my call
Mhm.
on that. So you'll see more of that happening throughout town. Currently, we're having a design done for Elm Street that's already final paved. You have some restriping, and you will see you're having some shoulders that are wide enough that you can even call them bike lanes.
Okay.
In some cases, some spots along Elm Street, it does narrow down, and you won't have your designated bike lanes, but we try to do the bicycle accommodations using the pavement markings like sharrows and signs and so on.
Okay.
But we're striving to achieve what would be asked of us.
And the other thing we're gonna be doing is proposing where we want more plans, design, a cost for a firm to do these designs so that we now know a better cost estimate, a better understanding of what we want. And that design is when state comes up with grant opportunities, we can now move quickly because they're literally, now we are prepared. This is the opportunity. We're not trying to figure it out because they usually come and go very quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to transition from that to the exact same model with stormwater. We're trying to get ahead of the curve and how you can kind of benefit from it. With stormwater, we did just recently get a grant. And Steve, it might be kind of helpful to talk about being proactive and having something in place, and shovel ready is what the state likes when they do have these grants, available. So.
Well, the only thing after that is we had the culvert designed, bid, and we had a price, and we went as far as putting a contract together with the bidder, because you never can tell whether you get a grant or not, and we don't want to sit around and let this culvert fail on us. And being shovel ready, we're successful in getting the grant, saving us
660,000 or close to it.
Which now we can take our own money and put towards some other project. So quite happy about that. That project is about to start at the end of this month, and it should be completed by the end of the year.
Excellent.
That's great.
Yeah,
It is great.
really.
It is really great.
Awesome.
Where is that?
Spencer Brook Culvert,
Okay,
Spencer Brook Roads. Sorry, Culvert, yeah.
that's great.
So going back to the safety projects, we also got a grant worth up to $1 million for the improving intersection of Main Street, Pine Street, and Church Street.
Oh, damn, yeah.
It's called a bottleneck grant from
Yeah.
MassDOT. And, tomorrow, I'm having a site walk with the designer. The state has assigned a design consultant to proceed with the design on that project. So, yes, all kinds of money
That's great.
flowing my way.
Excellent.
We have to cut somewhere.
Yeah.
I think those are the high level things,
Yeah.
that I can think that the commission should be aware of. You've got parking lot rehab. These are things that are more routine. And the technical support and permits are really just the day-to-day out.
On a parking lot rehab, I'm always coming back to knowing that our planning board every now and then waives parking conditions for applicants. Is there a way we can advocate, or who would be the party to that when the planning board waives parking requirements, that there is a fee for the waive? Because in the end, people start parking in public domain, and that's cost for public works. So how could we advocate with whom that if they are parking requirements waived on a building project, that there is a fee that goes into a pot for parking costs and rehabilitation costs we have?
So the parking meter, I'm trying to think of the study that was done, was planning land management at the time was sort of leading that study. So planning is involved. Now the question is whether it's a meter or a fee. Then what's I know the town finance and town finance department was involved with that meter, financing situation, the police department, where, I don't know, there's a model. We can kind of look back to,
other towns have a fee. When they waive parking requirements for projects, they actually charge a hefty fee.
Mm-hmm.
Who pays it? The developer?
Yeah.
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 Because they don't have to build parking, so they save a lot of money.
That it would be the planning committee then, right?
So
Yeah, but who is the one who sets the fees?
it falls on the impact fees, and impact fees, a lot of regulations regarding how you assess and.
But who would be the party to drive that or
Be the
assess
head,
it?
to me, it's the head planner.
So, Alyssa,
Elizabeth,
Alyssa.
yeah.
okay.
Okay, thank you. We're good.
All right.
Busy team, but work's getting done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Ellen, for your last meeting, this was great. You're in good old tradition over time.
Hopefully the chair and the incoming.
Yes, can we have our incoming?
So the final item is just really the transition and sort of explain kind of where we are. And obviously, sort of we're fortunate. I think I included Carrie's announcement in the packet, just so Aaron is the highway ground superintendent, but he definitely has a lot of depth and experience in public works. Served as a director in Maynard before he came over here, and a lot of other skill sets that I think are going to be pretty, invaluable. And from my opinion, we have been through in this group, and it's sort of my swan song here. The last 6 years, this team here, Andrea and Sven have been kind of along for a fairly long ride, with me and our department. We've gone through a lot of transition, and there's been a lot of change, a lot of need for change, times that were pretty challenging. We've accomplished a lot when it comes to high level, programmatically, new stormwater utilities, getting funding for the roads program. We've just, we've accomplished a lot. We're at a point, and I think, and I've enjoyed it. We're now in really an implementation mode. And so this for me is a very good opportunity to, I know my skill set, I know kind of what I think Public Works needs. And I think, Aaron comes to the table as, from getting work done. And I think that's going to be a new focus of, it's not just aspirational and planning. We got a lot of work to do. Engineering's already sort of in the midst of it. I think with Aaron's experience and his approach, I think it's consistent with what the town manager is looking for as far as the programmatic budgeting, sort of documenting what we're doing, how we're doing it, looking at the finance. Chris, you had mentioned, how we track our projects and those sort of things. So I'm pleased to say that, it would have been fun starting all that. It's just as well that we've got sort of some new blood to kind of look at that. I think it's right in Aaron's wheelhouse. You met Paula Bertram, who's our business manager. I think we have the right pieces to sort of take you to the next step. And I think there is a challenge of just doing our job. And I think I see that as something Aaron can really help us, and you through. And you even, sort of with having Andrea stay on board as a chair for some of that succession, just allow this transition of you were working closely with me. You've worked with Aaron in the past, back in the cemetery committee days. So anyway, I'm pleased. And I think, the town will be in good hands with a combination of the staff that you see in this particular commission. And I've told you before, I look all around the town. I just really like the way this group operates. You seem to understand your role. You're very helpful when it comes to, what are the guardrails, communicating and speaking on behalf of what the community needs and interests are. And, I did hear something about goals. the commission has never worked about goals. It's been worked about supporting the programs. And, and I think that's where, there's opportunities to talk about how all that works, but just those are my 2 cents. And, I just think it's kind of, we got a lot of experience around the table and, with the commission and staff. So I think, I don't know if, Andrea, you want to say anything?
No, I just,
Yeah.
we're happy about this transition. We're sad to see you go. We're happy to see you come on board. I know Aaron is gonna get stuff done. And we don't usually meet in July and August, but if you need us to meet or you need us to know something or you need the public to know something, you just put out the bat signal.
Thank you.
We'll make it happen.
Appreciate that, thank you.
We're here for you when you need us, and otherwise we'll back in September.
Always feel free to reach out, make sure he has all our telephone numbers and cell phone numbers.
I mean, we all have our.
Because I will miss the 8 a.m. call with this guy.
But that's the late call.
That's a late call, yeah.
Yeah, you can call on any of us to find out what you need to know, so don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Yeah, and in your list of things, what you achieved to sing in the last year was not only the road program, not only the stormwater, it was also the $50 million for water and PFAS. I think in the last several years, we asked a lot from the community, and now we have to deliver.
Yeah. Everyone's delivering, yeah. So it'll be a summer of deliverables.
Thank you. When's your last official day?
The 19th. So I got a little more than a week.
I'm not
left.
in town that day.
Yeah.
Only one more week.
Only one more week.
Friday next week.
Yeah.
And then he opens up a bottle of champagne that finally this guy is gone.
Then the celebration begins.
No, then we're going to redesign that space over there.
Exactly. Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess that's it. I adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel like you should have a gavel.